Greetings from our nation's capital, where we're all set for a high-stakes matchup in the Northern Super League, presented by BMO, official bank of the NSL. Nigel Reid in the booth, welcoming you to TD Place Stadium as the Ottawa Rapid prepare to lock horns with the Vancouver Rise. Ottawa boasts the league's leading scorer. Another win increases the pressure on the leaders. But the Rise are on a roll and are determined to extend their unbeaten run to 6 games. Much of the talk in Ottawa all about their leading scorer, DB Pridham, but there are other contributors offensively. What about the Korean international Mina Lee? Has a couple of goals under her belt, often joins in with those offensive moves as she did a couple of weeks ago to finish the move against AFC Toronto. Forbes off the bar, Mina Lee, Johnny on the spot, and all smiles on K-Night in the capital. One of the Vancouver Rise, keep an eye on their number 11, should really be wearing number 9 because she is a centre forward. Jessica De Filippo, 3 goals so far this season and an important one at BMO Field only last weekend, taking advantage of the defensive error and just stroking it into the back of the net with only 10 players after an earlier red card. It was the only goal of the game. Another win, another clean sheet for the Vancouver Rise. Beautiful summer's afternoon in Ottawa, 26 degrees and sunny. Perfect for players and for fans alike. Let's take a glance at the updated NSL standings. Ottawa starting the day 3rd in the table. Another victory today would take them level on points with the Montreal Roses, who won yesterday. But the Vancouver Rise breathing down their necks. If Vancouver can win on the road again today, they will leapfrog Ottawa into 3rd place. Top 4 qualify for the end of season semi-finals. As the fans file in, find their seats and wave their flags. Ready for a big match in the capital. Ottawa and Vancouver will have the lineups and the kickoff in just a few moments. Welcome back to Ottawa, where it is week 19 of the Northern Super League. We're getting ready for Ottawa against Vancouver, 3rd against 4th. Let's glance at the lineups. Ottawa Rapid make 2 changes from their match last weekend in Montreal. In at right back is the Polish international Kayla Adamek, and the return in defensive midfield of the veteran Olympic champion Desiree Scott, who I had a chance to catch up with a few moments ago. Desi, great to see your smiling face. Welcome back to the starting lineup. You've played the leaders in the last 2 games, 4 points out of 6 against them. You must feel that you're really part of the mix in this inaugural season.
Yeah, it's been great. Our team is really starting to gel well, perform on the pitch, and get important points that we need against the top opposition. So it's been going well so far.
The NSL has come relatively, can I say, late in your career, but how much fun are you having finally being able to play as a proud Canadian in front of Canadian fans for a Canadian team?
I mean, this is so special. to be involved in, to be a part of history, a part of a league right here in Canada that I've dreamed and talked about. And just being able to be a leader and a veteran here to share my knowledge and get on the pitch and run around again in front of Canadian fans is incredible.
Desi, it's enjoyable to talk to you as ever. Enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you.
Desiree Scott, 38 years of age, still enjoying her football. One of the visitors, Vancouver Rise, forced to make a couple of changes. And a first start at right back for 17-year-old Bridget Mudipula from Halifax, Nova Scotia. And ahead of her, on the right wing, the return of the English striker Josie Longhurst. No Quinn today. They are still recovering from the concussion suffered in that game against Toronto last weekend. But solid at the back, they're doing great things defensively and offensively. Let's hear from the Vancouver Rise goalkeeper, Morgan McCaslin. Morgan, good to see you. Back-to-back clean sheets. That's good for confidence, of course, for you. And as far as the team is concerned, 5 unbeaten. What's the key to consistency in recent weeks?
I think the key for us has been we've had some changes in the back line. We've had some injuries, but we've been able to be adaptable and flexible with the new people coming in. I think it took a few games for us to start to build some chemistry, and I think we're finally having some momentum and have built a great chemistry with the back line and a great belief in each other. So, yeah, it's been awesome.
Big game today. You haven't beaten Ottawa yet. Is this the toughest test for the Rise as a team?
It's definitely something we need to check off the list this year, and a team we know we haven't beaten. I think they're a great quality side. I don't think it'll be the toughest team for us. I think last time, we should have put the game away a little earlier and could have walked away with a win, and we know that. So I think today we're ready to finish the game off like we wanted to last time.
Morgan, thanks for your time. Best of luck today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
One of the best goalkeepers in the NSL so far this season, Morgan McCaslin. Both these teams coming to TD Place Stadium on the back of road wins last weekend. Ottawa, 2-0 victory at Montreal. 2 more goals for DB Pridham, who now has 14 goals in 16 appearances. The Rise, as we mentioned a moment ago, with only 10 players on the field, winning at AFC Toronto, the league leaders, by a single goal. So all to play for in Ottawa, who will get us underway. Attacking the goal to your left in this first half, all in dark blue, against the sunny Rise of the Vancouver Rise, who have put together an impressive run in recent weeks. 5 matches unbeaten, and they know that a victory today will help them leapfrog the Ottawa Rapid and into 3rd place. Katrina Peterson, the Ottawa Rapid head coach, who thought that last week's game against Montreal was a complete team performance. They got a couple of early goals and never looked back for 3 more points. But today is a new day, and there is all to play for. Here is Josie Longhurst. Filippo trying to help it on. Referee's going to bring it back and award the first free kick of the game. 2 Danes on the bench. That is Anja Heine-Muller, the head coach of the Vancouver Rise. And De Filippo certainly felt that early challenge, but feels it's something that she can run off as she makes her way forward. One of the clear and present dangers offensively as far as Vancouver are concerned. Perhaps something off the training field for the Rise. Makes its way out to Lisa Buczerski, but she had strayed beyond the last defender, and offside is the call. Melissa Dagenet, tall goalkeeper for the Ottawa Rapid, has 3 clean sheets. Salma Flores de Rocher is our match referee, and Marie Canwell is the 4th official. Both from Quebec. And now it's Longhurst committing the foul. left back Chu Hyo-ju. Finds it way back. Chu helping it forward, looking for Pridham. Wears 22. And has scored just about against every team in the league. Indeed, Pridham has scored 4 goals in the previous 2 meetings against Vancouver. Desiree Scott trying to turn the corner. Lisa Buczerski nips in briefly. And the foul on Pridham. And she will make her way forward as Kennedy Faulkner retreats. Part of the back line along with Jessica Cowart. The heart of the back line for the Vancouver Rise. Scott, ball forward purposefully. Opportunities here, looking for Pridham. Rise did their job defensively, only as far back as Scott again. Restored to the starting lineup after being given a rest in Montreal last weekend. Jaleesa Harris launches it to that far side. Possibilities here. And in the way was Cowart again. Promising start by Ottawa. Adamek with the throw, back for her captain. Couple of meetings between these teams so far this season. And Ottawa have had the better of it. They won one by 3-0 last time they met here. And the game in Vancouver, well, the Rise thought they'd won it until virtually the last kick of the match. And it was a thrilling 3-3 draw at Swan Guard. Mutapula upended. She tried to find a way forward. Yuka Okamoto is the left back for the Rise. Cushion forward, but that'll run all the way through to Dagenet. And rolls it out. And Chu picks it up on the left-hand side of that back 4 for the Ottawa Rapid. Mutapula making her first start. Quickly in, effectively so. Mutapula again, Canada U17 international already, just 17 years of age. Just a tug on the shirt there, and it'll be another free kick to the visitors for the tug on Samantha Chang. Chang also likes to get forward, will play in central midfield. Well, she has a couple of goals this season. Cowart for Mutapula. And back for the teenager. Entrusted with that right back position. Jasmine Spencer missing out today, having received a red card and a subsequent suspension last weekend at BMO Field. But all ended well as far as the Rise were concerned, with De Filippo's goal in the opening seconds of the second half. It was the only goal. And Vancouver went on to collect all 3 points. Ottawa starting a 3-game homestand as Harris launches it long. But no problem at the back for Okamoto. And Morgan McCaslin almost charged down. Mutapula needs to be strong here. They've taken it away, but Mutapula was fouled by DB Pridham. Just pushed her off the ball, tug of the jersey, referee spotted it. Free kick Vancouver. Okamoto makes her way forward into enemy territory. Holly Ward is ahead of her. Ward trying to test the fullback. And Adamek manages to see it behind for a goal kick. Holly Ward on that left-hand side is a really tough customer. 3 goals, 4 assists. So Adamek will have her hands full over the next 80 minutes or so. Dagenet clears. Chersky keen to get on with it. But turned over in midfield to Filippo. Helped further left to Okamoto. Ward wants it, won't get it this time. Looks for the more direct route. It comes back to the Japanese defender. And picking it up is Florence Belzile. There's number 10 for the Ottawa Rapid. Set up both goals for DB in Montreal last weekend. This is Shu. Into the area they go. Can they play it correctly? Somebody needs to take responsibility. And it wasn't far over the top. Mel Forbes, left-footed, but couldn't keep it down. And there needed to be more purposeful defending there as Pridham sent it across. Everybody let it run. Mel Forbes almost took advantage. It's a couple of feet over McCaslin's net. Away from the danger zone for the time being. A little bit of head tennis. Mina Lee. Alan Gibson helps out. And back to Harris. Alongside her is Liv Scott, centre of defence. Scott back in the centre of defence today. She has played right back in recent weeks. Ten minutes gone. Neither goalkeeper seriously tested yet. Both teams just feeling each other out. They have a great deal of respect for each other. Longhurst comes to collect, but turns it over to Mina Lee. And there may be possibilities here. Trying to find Pridham again was Belzile. And they might pick it up again here. Mina Lee. Gibson to her left. Harris. Simple ball for Scott. It's Liv Scott as opposed to Desiree Scott. Harris again, looking for Pridham. And then the chip over the top, but that'll be comfortable for McCaslin. Searching for her 7th clean sheet of the season. Morgan McCaslin has not conceded a goal in her last 2 appearances. Okamoto picks up the loose ball for the Vancouver Rise. Needs a little bit of help, perhaps. Pokes it out of play, but she did not have the last touch. It will be a Vancouver ball. Just heard, by the way, confirmation we will have hydration breaks. It is another warm day in Ottawa. Air temperature around 27 Celsius, but it'll be 3 or 4 degrees warmer down at field level. Adamek with the throw. Mina Lee. Back with Adamek. Forced backwards for Desiree Scott. For Liv Scott. Mina. Always comfortable with the ball at her feet. You'll often find her turning and pirouetting to buy herself a little bit of room and space and time. Chu. Forced backwards by the Vancouver press. Scott again, time to consider her options as her captain to her right. With Scott up the line. But the Rise are first to react. Pechersky, ball forward for Longhurst. Ward lets it run. Unfortunately, Okamoto wasn't expecting it. And it rolls out of play for an Ottawa throw-in. Adamek, one of two changes by Katrina Pedersen. The other, the return of their formidable, vastly experienced captain Desiree Scott in her usual holding midfield position. Now Genet rather miscued. Ward will take the throw. Finding Samantha Chang. Another throw for the visitors on that far side. Ottawa just one loss in their last 6, 3 wins, 2 ties and 1 loss. And as I mentioned, Vancouver, 5 unbeaten, 3 wins, 2 ties. And they're keen to keep that momentum going today in the capital. They were in Toronto last week, now in Ottawa. This is their last road game for a little while, then they get to go back to Swangard for a couple of games. Udapula. Cowart with Faulkner. Game yet to gather some flow and momentum, but it's well contested. And Pechersky on her left foot, favourite left foot, just overran it slightly. Ran straight into Desiree Scott. And Belzile looking for Pridham. But again, plenty of Vancouver shirts willing to get involved. It'll find Ward on that far side. Move the ball is the cry from the benches. Desi Scott with Gibson alongside her in those holding midfield roles. Lisa Harris for Liv Scott. As Ottawa look to play their way out, Desi Scott and Mina waits for it, and then for Forbes on that far side. Forbes across the face of goal, but too close to McCaslin. Comfortable catch for the Rise goalkeeper. Mickey Stanton has gone down and may need some medical attention in midfield for the Rise. Hence the brief stoppage. Maybe that right thigh is troubling her. Pridham and Forbes discussing how they're going to win this game. It's been a fruitful combination. Pridham with 14 goals, but Forbes, not only a goal for her, but also 5 assists for the Ottawa number 21 this season. But Pridham is clinical and leads the league in scoring, as she has done from virtually day one in the inaugural season of the Northern Super League. Presented by BMO, the official bank of the NSL. Stanton is ready to continue, I fancy. Just going to take a moment, maybe need some more running repairs. Just a word with the coaching staff. So temporarily, Vancouver will be down to 10. Stanton, having left the field of play, will have to be invited back on by the referee when the medical staff have done their job. And Stanton is back with us. And it's 11v11 again. Desiree Scott doing what Desi Scott does best. Battling for possession, shielding the ball with her body. Mina trying to find Pridham, and Stanton back into the action. Needs to be quick here. Helped out by those behind her. Adamek on the volley. Was there a push in the back? There wasn't. But there is going to be a stoppage here for that challenge from behind on Mel Forbes. So a second stoppage in as many minutes. As Desi Scott goes over to give her a pat on the back and a word of encouragement. And Forbes stays down. This was the challenge from Okamoto. And maybe there was a little bit of forearm involved as well. And Forbes certainly felt the challenge. No caution from the referee for the Japanese left back. Ball was in the air, it was there to be won. But Okamoto was a little over vigorous in the challenge. As we approach the 20-minute mark, Forbes now sitting up, just being checked out, the medical staff, to make sure there is no suggestion of a neck or head injury. Forbes, sympathetic round of applause as she rises to her feet. Now, is Peterson going to have to make a change? Or is Forbes going to be able to continue? Check that for you momentarily. So it's Ottawa's turn to be down to 10 for the time being. Harris strides forward, away from Longhurst, but Longhurst will pick up the loose ball. Possibilities here. Longhurst thought about the shot and then slipped at the crucial moment. Pridham trying to force the issue at the other end. Mina involved as well. And then Paczerski can't control it. Will be an Ottawa throw midway inside their own half of the field, which Chu will take. Belzile finds Mina. Adamek and Scott. And then there's another stoppage. That's unfortunate. It's Belzile, I think, this time on the deck, holding a face. Referee again forced to halt play. Longhurst appeared to make contact with Belzile long after the ball had gone. Sam Chang talking to her players. Belzile perhaps feeling that jaw, cheekbone. Appears to be okay to continue. And Longhurst and Belzile both getting a little lecture from the referee. Yes, it's a contact sport, but only to a point, I think is the message. Still checking on the situation of Mel Forbes, who I believe is still off the field. But we believe she'll be back with us soon. She is back on the field. Belzile stopped on the edge of the area. So just to confirm, we're back to 11v11. Mel Forbes has completed her treatment and is back on the right-hand side of that front three for the Ottawa Rapid. On the other flank, this is Chu, the Korean fullback, who will take the throw. Pridham offering herself. Another throw in almost exactly the same spot. Backwards this time from Chu for Harris. Considering her options. Lays it off for Liv Scott. Adamek takes over. And Mel Forbes, as we mentioned, who has returned. Harris. Gibson. Vertical ball. Trying to find Bridham, didn't come off. Chance perhaps for the counter-attack for the Vancouver Rise. Here's Lisa Paczerski. Still Paczerski into the area, tracked by Harris. Forced backwards, double-teamed Paczerski. Forced back to the middle of the park. Back to Mutipula. Then the long ball forward, but that's got a little too much sauce on it. And all the way through to Dagenet. Harris for Gibson. Scott scampering across to retrieve. Angelisa Harris. That's Chu to her left, ignores her. Comes infield instead. And dispossessed was Belzile. And the shot might be on here. Oh my goodness, it's a terrific shot. And it is the opening goal for the Vancouver Rise. I think Samantha Chang set her sights from outside the area. And Chang celebrates her third goal of the season, leading by example. And the skipper gives the Rise the lead midway inside the first half. Ottawa 0, Vancouver 1. Was turned over, and then Sam Chang, couple of touches, and then a shot from distance. And Dagenet couldn't get there. Maybe got a fingertip to it, but couldn't keep it out. Terrific accuracy and force from Sam Chang. And the Rise lead on the road. Heine Muller affords herself a smile. So first blood to the visitors. They did it in Toronto last weekend, and they're doing it again in the nation's capital. Last weekend, one was enough. But you get the feeling that it may not be this weekend. Belzile, Mutipula tracked her run. She hasn't looked out of place. Her first start, the 17-year-old. Belzile again for Gibson. Into the area it goes. Okamoto with the clearing header. Well, Sam Chang picked up that ball and really wasn't closed down. And after seeing a couple of chances to set herself, decided she'd buy a lottery ticket and fairly blazed it into the top of the net. Gibson with the foul, which gifts possession back to the visitors. Stanton had to stretch and got dispossessed briefly. Cowart and Faulkner tidying up. And the ball forward. Holly Ward. Support from Okamoto. Cowart again, the American central defender, looking towards the edge of the box. But Ottawa will pick up the loose ball. And Mina, and Pridham wants the delivery early, had to check her run. Here's Mina. Belzile was to her left. Gibson trying to keep the move going as Ottawa look for a rapid response. having conceded the goal after 25 minutes. Belzile can't get round Mutipula, who is showing great maturity in her young career. Hasn't put a foot wrong yet at right back. In again, Mutipula to break up the play. There will be a free kick for the challenge on, I think it was Belzile, perhaps Chu, but it is certainly going to be a free kick for the home team. And a word for the teenager. It's all part of the learning process. Forbes and Adamek. Now then, can Ottawa force an equalizer? Forbes, curling ball, straight into the waiting arms of Morgan McCaslin. Forbes looks as though she's come over to the left-hand side, having started on the right-hand side of that front three. Which presumably means that Belzile will move over to the right-hand side in support of DB Pridham. Maybe it was just a temporary move. She happened to find herself in that position to take the free kick a moment before. Mina. And Belzile, who indeed has come back on that left-hand flank. Gibson, nowhere to go. Liv Scott, last line of defence other than the goalkeeper. Adamek. Forbes waiting on the touchline. Adamek decides to try and bulldoze her own way forward up against Okamoto. But a free kick in favour of the visitors. And it just bounced up and hit Adamek on the arm. Half an hour gone in the sunshine in Ottawa. It's not the scoreline that Katrina Peterson was hoping for, a third of the way through the contest. Pridham and Forbes. Nobody in the area. Forbes will have to go alone. And the cover was there. As we reach the interval, not the half-time interval, but the hydration break, as I did mention off the top, it is a warm day in late summer in the capital. Temperatures in the high 20s, probably in the early 30s down at field level. So both sets of players will take a moment or two for a hydration break. And Vancouver have taken the chance that came along for Sam Chang some 6 or 7 minutes ago. The hydration break is brought to you by Powerade, and it is the Vancouver Rise who lead the contest. Sam Chang's long-range strike, the third goal of the season, captaining the Rise today and leading by example with an accurate and forceful long-range rocket that Dagenet could not get a fingertip to. If you're joining us late, here is what you missed. That is Sam Chang, couple of chances, wasn't closed down, thought, okay, let's have a shot, see what happens. Well, that's what happened. One shot, two shots, and the question marks about the defending. But Chang didn't care about that. They afforded her the opportunity, the time and space to go for goal. And Sam Chang duly obliged with her third goal of the season. At the other end of the field, Morgan McCaslin has barely had a save to make. He's been organised at the back, but not over-employed in the first half an hour. Originally from Waterdown, Ontario, McCaslin. Back-to-back clean sheets against Toronto and against the Halifax Tides. Now, how do Ottawa solve the problem and get themselves back into this game? Adamek will restart with a throw midway inside the Vancouver half of the field. Desiree Scott, that hit the referee, so play will be halted and we'll restart with a drop ball. It will favour Vancouver as Desi Scott is waved away. Here's the goal scorer, Chang. Lisa Paczerski likes to get forward herself. Touch inside. Filippo back for Paczerski, looking to play it inside the fullback. Did so, and De Filippo, not quite sure she realised she had a little more time. Took it first time, couldn't direct it on net. Have another look as Paczerski plays it inside, and De Filippo was between the centre backs, had time to take a touch, decided not to. Liv Scott scampering across, finds Desiree Scott, and Adamek making the move forward. He's looking for Forbes, but cut out by Okamoto. Stanton. That's a little short. And fortunately the ricochet off Pridham. And maybe Pridham needs a little bit of medical attention. The ball was actually there to be won, but I think she came off worst out of that challenge, just holding that right ankle, that right shin, in contest with Jessica Cowart. Well, both players look as though they're ready to continue. That was the collision between Cowart and Pridham. No foul committed. And both are up. And Cowart, wherever Pridham goes, Cowart will not be far away. Chang. Okamoto for Ward. Give and go was the intention. And for Mutipula. Inside Belzile. Chang trying to help it on, but dispossessed by Desi Scott. Again, Pridham trying to get there, was never favourites to get the early touch. Stanton picks it up. Interesting idea. Harris had read it, helped on by Gibson, but Okamoto regains possession for the visitors. Here's Paczerski. Just overran it. And that's never a good idea when Belzile and Mina are around. Gibson looked right, might come left, does so. Desi Scott pokes it forward. Belzile gives chase. In fact, it's Chu, I beg your pardon. And it will be Ottawa ball deep inside Vancouver territory. Eight minutes to half time. Rapid looking for that response to get back on level terms by the interval. Liv Scott for Harris. Desi Scott turning away. Never afraid to play the simple ball, Desi Scott, as long as her team holds on to the ball. Out towards Forbes, who made a good run inside Forbes. Charge down. Okamoto has time to clear for Stanton and Holly Ward. Trying to test Adamek on that far side. No hurry, Vancouver. They've got their noses in front. And they'd be perfectly happy to frustrate Ottawa for the next 7 minutes or so and get themselves to half-time. Ward makes her way in field. Chang, well, they now know not to give her room from 25 yards out or so. Mutipula. Longhurst was waiting on the near touchline, didn't reach her. It will now from Pechersky, first time ball. And it needed an important header from Scott at the back. And Forbes is almost caught in possession. Indeed, it will be a Vancouver free kick. For the challenge on Stanton. So more defending to do for the Rapid when they'd rather be up at the other end of the field, really testing McCaslin and her defenders. Mina and Forbes. Temporary two-person wall. Sam Chang scored one. Might she turn provider here? Chang with the delivery. It's not the best. It was behind most of her teammates, but they will pick up the ball with Pechersky. Cowart keeps it going. Good battling skills by Pechersky. Okamoto cushions it into the area. Can they keep it in field? They can. And it's, well, somebody, again, just a little bit of hesitancy. Nagenet eventually had time to dive on the ball and chew away from her own penalty area and into opposition territory. The fellow Korean Mina. Forbes. Mina trying to play in Pridham. Wins the corner, nothing more. But they've certainly developed a plan for Pridham, Vancouver. Cowart is sticking close to her, not giving her the opportunity to set herself. And so far, the plan is working for the Rise. First corner for Ottawa. Forbes to take it. Left arm raised. Towards the penalty spot. Didn't reach Pridham. Forbes trying to get there. Pechersky was first to react. Okamoto, the ball forward. Adamek in the way. Pechersky again. Stanton prods it forward. Jessica De Filippo. Okamoto wants it on the left-hand side, will get it. Holly Ward. Ward just in the side netting, but it did require a save. And Ward forces a corner for the Rise. Moments after defending a corner at the other end of the field. Holly Ward with 3 goals and 4 assists so far this season. But had a hand in setting up the winning goal at BMO Field in Toronto last weekend. Wasn't credited with an assist. Sam Chang to take the corner. Changing the angle of attack. Into the mixer it goes. Liv Scott with the header, but they haven't got it away yet. Adamek hooks it over her own shoulder. Referee will play the advantage. There was a foul there, but Ottawa trying to catch Vancouver out. Belzile. And there's definitely a foul there from Stanton in the closing minutes of the first half. Fredham was trying to go round her on the blind side. Stanton stopped up illegally. And a yellow card for Okamoto and perhaps for Stanton as well. Okamoto for the original foul. Referee played the advantage but went back and showed a yellow card. And now Forbes has an opportunity in the last 90 seconds. Confirmation of the yellow card for Okamoto. Mina trying to play something off the training ground. Stanton was in the way. Temporary clearance. Ball in the air there to be won. Paczewski. And Paczewski is goal side. And there may be problems here for Ottawa. Still Paczewski. Will she take the shot on Paczewski in the end? Important intervention, I think, from Gibson. And Paczewski, a lung-busting run from the edge of her own penalty area, wins the corner. Round Chu, who couldn't match the speed of Paczewski into the area, thought about the square pass, and indeed it was Gibson who just put an important foot in at the expense of another Vancouver corner. And Vancouver have asked plenty of questions defensively of Ottawa in this first half, and the goalkeeper Dagenet rather flapped at it. Some uncertainty. Sam Chang again, Ward, and then off their own player. Ward picks up the loose ball, still inside the Ottawa penalty area. Okamoto trying to keep the move going. Headed away for the time being. Mutapula picks up the loose ball. Well, we're going to have a minimum of 7 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this first half. Remember, there have been a couple of stoppages which have required medical assistance. Paczewski towards the back post. That's close, and he's close to Dagenet. And of course the hydration break as well. So we've got plenty of time at the end of this first half for Vancouver, perhaps to double their lead, which they have threatened to do on more than one occasion. Ward teasing Adamek. Keeps it in. Dagenet. Mutapula well forward. And the left-footed strike was always too high from the teenager. Born in Zambia, came to Halifax, Nova Scotia at the age of 4. And then at the age of 14 was embraced by the Vancouver Whitecaps Elite Girls Academy and has now made her way to the professional ranks. Jaleesa Harris. Chu. Just a little short. Paczewski, who's been much in evidence in this first half. Paczewski and just eased off the ball by Chu. Gibson. Not precise enough from Ottawa offensively in this first half. Coward and Faulkner combining at the back as the ball is out to that left-hand side. Adamek will have to play it. Tried to get a ricochet which didn't come off, and then a rather careless challenge by the blue jerseys of Ottawa, and there is more defending to be done. Adamek was trying to ricochet the ball off Ward, and then Adamek and Forbes made her the meat in the sandwich. And not to the liking of the referee. So Chang has another opportunity to threaten the Ottawa goal. Ottawa have to be on their toes defensively as Chang delivers. Trying to find Ward with a low delivery. Okamoto will pick up the loose ball and feed Nikki Stanton towards the edge of the penalty area again. Looking for Pechersky. That was a little short, but Pechersky managed to get a foot in and stop Chu going forward. Midway through stoppage time at the end of this first half, Samantha Chang with a long-range strike after 25 minutes is the goal that separates these teams. McCaslin solid and structured again defensively for the Vancouver Rise. And the visitors will be perfectly happy to see this remaining couple of minutes out and take their advantage into the locker room at half-time. Okamoto, Ward and Chang, and here they come again. This time Desiree Scott wins possession in midfield for Ottawa. Looked like a tug on the jersey to me. Referee let it go. And Pechersky waits for the intervention. And this time Belzile does win it. Harris with a chance to build from the edge of her own penalty area. Chu ran straight into Mutapula. The referee says the Korean was the guilty party. And another free kick for the Vancouver Rise. Just about 90 seconds to go to half-time. And Vancouver perfectly happy to play keep ball for the next minute or so. And just frustrate Ottawa, make them run around. Flicked on, here's Harris to Filippo. Back into midfield to help out. Ward up against Adamek, who I believe got the final touch and did, and yet another corner for Vancouver. They've been the dominant force in this first half. Vancouver looking for their first ever win over the Rapid, who've scored 6 goals against them in 2 previous meetings. None today. At least not yet. Sam Chang delivers an interesting corner. This time the punch from Dagenet returned straight into the arms of the Rapid goalkeeper. Stanton with the follow-up shot. And that should just about do it for the first half. Dagenet beaten midway through the first half by a long-range effort by Sam Chang, who was given the room and the time to set herself. Referee blows her whistle for half-time in Ottawa, and it's the Vancouver skipper whose goal after 25 minutes separates the team. Sam Chang did it all herself and managed to belt the ball into the roof of the net beyond the despairing dive of Melissa Dagenet to give the Vancouver Rise an important lead. They won in Toronto last weekend. Can they do it on the road in Ottawa? Again, they're 45 minutes away from 3 more important points. Ottawa need to be more clinical going forward in the second half. So half-time at TD Place in Ottawa. Rapid losing to the Rise by 1-0.
Oh, off the post and in. It's the goal they've been waiting for.
That is a highlight we will see over and over and over again. Kazaki! That is absolutely world class. Oh my goodness.
It is week 19 of the Northern Super League. We're in the sunshine, TD Place Stadium in Ottawa. The Rapid against the visiting Vancouver Rise, battling for third place in the table and to keep the pressure on the leaders. Yeah, why not? Bust a move in the sunshine. No problem as far as that's concerned. Do what you like. Enjoy the day. Ottawa Rapid against the Vancouver Rise. Just a couple of points separating them at kickoff. Ottawa and Vancouver have played twice before. Rise have never beaten the Rapid. Might today be the day. Early chance on the left-hand side for Mel Forbes. Mel Forbes again into the area looking for Pridham, but easy for McCaslin. 25 minutes in, Sam Chang for the visitors. Picked that one out. Was given time and space to measure her shot. Dagenet couldn't get there. And the Vancouver captain celebrating her third goal of the season. The opening goal. There was more to come from Vancouver on the left-hand side. Holly Ward this time forcing the save from Dagenet. And another corner. Here's Paczerski after a lung-busting run. In the end, Gibson just in the way as Paczerski pulled the trigger. More from Holly Ward up against Adamek this time into the Ottawa penalty area. Again, needed the save. And towards the end of the half, Nikki Stanton with a shot from just the top of the box. which was plucked out of the air by Dagenet. Look at the stats at halftime. Ottawa Rapid yet to have a shot on target, unlike their visitors, who've also had the lion's share of attempts on goal and possession as well, and corners. Vancouver Rise have come to play. Ottawa Rapid have not been the usual silky selves in this first 45 minutes. They will have to improve if they're to get back in this game, and the home fans are expectant that they will do just that and put the pressure on Montreal. A win for Ottawa would take them level on points with the Roses, but they've got to turn this around in the second half, which is coming up. Half-time in the capital, Vancouver leading by a 1-0.
No, I'm kidding.
Backup dancer for Usher. Maybe Beyonce if she'd let me with, Blue Ivy, doing a little.
A hockey player. I played both when I was younger. I was better at soccer though, but I would probably pursue and try and be a hockey player.
I have a business degree, so I would probably put that to use, but also I could see myself maybe being a lawyer.
I love the arts. I love singing. I am a bit dramatic, but I'm definitely not an actor. Felt really lucky to do some commentating as well during the Women's World Cup recently, and I absolutely love that.
But another sport. I grew up doing track, doing swimming, playing water polo. I've just always loved being active, so I think I might have actually navigated towards water polo. It was a really fun sport.
I really wanted to be a vet growing up. I think I've pivoted a little bit. Maybe like a physiotherapist, chiropractor.
To be honest, I do enjoy teaching because I like helping kids and working with youth. Just think making an impact in someone's life is, to me, more valuable than anything.
Well, I went to law school, so I would probably just keep doing that and be a lawyer. Kind of specialized within climate law, so I would probably dive deeper into that.
A diver. If I wasn't a diver, honestly, a figure skater. But I mean, my mom was like, let's focus on two things. Like, let's not go crazy. So yeah, so figure skater.
Or like a hiking ski bum.
Maybe an architect. I've always liked buildings and like building that. I guess maybe that's more engineer, but like designing houses and everything. I would always draw blueprints and everything like that. So I'd say an architect maybe.
I'd probably play basketball because I used to play a little basketball. I quit soccer, fun fact, for a tiny bit, but not in WNBA. I'm too short. I'm in Europe.
It was just a concept or idea on a napkin, but 2 years ago it didn't even have teams. Looking for the strike. Oh! Now that's a finish. Northern Super League. It will transcend the sport, the Northern Super League, for years to come.
It is a beautiful summer Sunday in Ottawa, and the player who has grabbed the headlines more than most this season is Delaney Bay Pridham, their leading scorer. Let's find out a little bit more about her. Here are 5 questions with DB.
First question, you're in the best goal-scoring form of your career. What's been the key to your success this season?
Yeah, I would say, there isn't just one key. It's a combination of different factors. It's the coaches from the beginning having trust and belief in me, and I came in telling them, I have high standards for myself, and them just matching that and pushing me in trainings and games and going over clips of how I can be a better player, and having great quality sessions where I'm building connections with my teammates and getting reps and consistency, and that coming into the games where my teammates are finding me in dangerous situations and being in the right pocket to finish it. So yeah, I would say it's multiple factors.
Is there anything about the NSL or the rapid setup that has enabled things for you to just be successful?
Yeah, I would say, the main thing is having a league in Canada. I'm able to be here in Ontario and play in front of my family, and that's something I've never had before. So being comfortable, being at home, and then also, coming into preseason and our coaches providing us with team bonding activities, that's allowed us to really connect fast before season started, and that connection, that we've built off the field is only allowing us to have more success on the field and really fight for each other and, enjoy playing for each other and for this city.
Okay, so tell us a bit about your goal celebration design.
Yeah, I would say, Desi, she was consistently coming up to me at the beginning of season saying, DB, you gotta celebrate, you gotta have some cellies in your pocket, and I kind of just followed her lead, and she would provide me with funny ideas, and I'm grateful that everyone else is on board and joining in, and everyone's giving me ideas, so it's making it even more fun, after goals to have that celebration all together.
Or skill from one of your teammates, who and what would it be and why?
Ooh, I would say from Desi, just how well she's able to hold the ball. She honestly, I don't think I've seen her get knocked off the ball. So just her ability to control the ball, get her body in between the ball and her defender, and that's something that I'm always looking at and trying to get better at myself.
What are your targets for the rest of the season?
Our goal as a team is to make playoffs and to win the league. So we are taking every game at a time, but we're very competitive, and we want to set high standards for ourselves, and we believe in each other and believe that that's going to happen.
Are you going for 22 goals?
I don't know, we'll see. We'll see, game by game.
DB Pridham looking for her 15th goal of the season. It may happen in the next 45 minutes, or it may happen on Thursday when the NSL returns. The Rapids, their homestand, home to the Halifax Tides, Thursday at 7 Eastern. Then Saturday, we're with AFC Toronto and the Calgary Wild. And later on Saturday at 7 Pacific, the Vancouver Rise return home to Swangard Stadium to face the Montreal Roses. Plenty of precious points to play for in the closing weeks of the very first regular season of the Northern Super League, presented by BMO, the official bank of the NSL. Vancouver, we are hearing, are making half-time. Confirm that for you in just a moment. So the Rise are going to bring on some fresh legs at the start of this second half. It's the introduction, I believe, of Jalen Wright. There she is, 22-year-old from Ile-Perrot, Montreal. Change as well for the home team. We're going to see the introduction of Johanna Friedland, Norwegian attacking midfielder. So firstly, Kennedy Faulkner is replaced at half-time by Jalen Wright. And for the Rapid, Florence Belzile makes way for Friedland at the start of this second half. So a change apiece to begin the second 45 minutes. And the Vancouver Rise in yellow and green, attacking the goal to your left in this second half, get us underway. And they start the second half with a goal advantage over the Ottawa Rapid, scored by their captain, Samantha Chang, after 25 minutes. Confirmation of the changes for both sides. Both teams permitted to use 5 substitutions in regulation. So what have the Ottawa Rapid been talking about, and what are they committed to in this second half during the half-time interval? Just 1 loss in the last 6, but they were second best for much of the first half against an enterprising Vancouver Rise. That'll drift away and behind for a goal kick. I think the one thing you can say about the Rise is, other than taking that opportunity, Sam Chang did really well. They've also marshalled the Leeds leading scorer, DB Pridham. They've barely given her a moment to think about what she's going to do. They certainly haven't given her time or room. It's going to be a foul. Push in the back as Mina went to shoot. And Jessica Cowart will take the free kick. Trina Peterson will not have been over-enthusiastic about Ottawa's first half performance. Didn't even manage a shot on target in the first 45, and that's unusual for them, but also a credit to the team they're playing against to hurry them, to not allow them time to settle, set their sights on goal. It has to be better from the home team in the second half. Adamek flings it down the line. Mina dispossessed. Longhurst turning. Okamoto and back for Longhurst. Did the ball go across the whitewash? It did. And the English winger couldn't keep it in. Throw for Ottawa. Kayla Adamek, Polish international. Born in Canada, holds dual citizenship. First touch in the second half for Mel Dagenet. It'll be a throw for Vancouver. It's all been a bit bitty from Ottawa. Never really got into their stride. Haven't been allowed to by a hard-working Vancouver team. Pechersky, much in evidence in the first 45. Murupula, her first start at the age of just 17. On the right-hand side of the back four, in for the suspended Jasmine Spencer. Now then, DB Pridham. Mel Forbes trying to find the back pass for Pridham. Didn't come off again. It's been a bit like that so far for Ottawa. Meanwhile, at the other end of the wheel, here comes Holly Ward. One-on-one. Ward didn't count kindly for her. Just ran into a trio of dark blue jerseys. Had De Filippo to her right, but Ward decided to try and trick the defenders and go alone. There is Ward wearing 19. Mina, heavy first touch. But we'll get the free kick. 2 goals for Mina so far this season. Clever player, seasoned Korean international. Liv Scott for Kayla Adamek. Jaleesa Harris is Scott's central defensive partner. Long ball forward, but far too far ahead of Pridham to cause any concern at the back for Vancouver. McCaslin bowls it out. Murapula has moved into a central defensive position to replace Kennedy Faulkner, who didn't reappear for the second half. And Jalen Wright, the half-time substitution, moving into right back. Mel Forbes, throw for Adamek. Harris looking for the long ball forward, aiming for Pridham. Okamoto followed the flight of the football. Forbes again, looking for some assistance. Harris, left-hand side this time. Chu works her way infield. Back for Harris. Again, alert defending from Vancouver. Not allowing Ottawa to set up camp in the final third. Gibson held it on, but only as far as Cowett. Cushions it back for McCaslin. Chu. Early minutes of the second half. Ottawa yet to force the issue. No time to panic, there's plenty of time to go, but they need to impose themselves on Vancouver in this second half, get the crowd into it, put the pressure on the visitors. Ward, interesting. Holly Ward, one-on-one, heavy first touch. Smith was there to cover. The referee is going to beckon on the medical staff again. We had a couple of stoppages in the first half. And now one close to the start of the second. Jessica De Filippo is receiving some attention while Ward was bursting her way through. Thumbs up, it would appear, from the medical staff to say we can treat her and we can get her up and going again. De Filippo scored the winning goal against AFC Toronto at BMO Field in front of nearly 8,000 fans last weekend, right in the middle of the CNE. All the fun of the fair. DiFilippo, despite the thumbs up from the medical staff, is going to make way for Mariah Lee. Indeed, it's going to be a double substitution. We're going to see the introduction of midfielder Sofia Hagman, Swedish player. So changes up top for the Rise. There's Mariah Lee. Takes over from DiFilippo. And Sofia Hagman replaces Nikki Stanton in central midfield. End of the day for Nikki Stanton. So fresh legs for the Vancouver Rise, who have led since the 25th minute. And have been solid defensively. Mina trying to make a change. Forbes, as Pridham makes her way into the area. It's all the way across goal. And it's a little too strong from Forbes. There was an offside flag as well. So even if the ball had ended up in the back of the net, it would not have counted. It will be a free kick for McCaslin and the Vancouver Rise. Gibson was trying to get there, and now Johanna Friedland, recently introduced. Again, confident defending at the back by Vancouver. It will be a throw to Ottawa on that far side. Chu quickly across. Harris towards the edge of the area. That's clever, and there may be possibilities here. Charge down, second attempt, back of the net. And Ottawa have their equalizer. And guess who? Three minutes before the hour mark, the Ottawa Rapid level it up. And DB Pridham has her 15th goal of the season. Just like that, first touch on the volley after the initial back heel. Friedland shot charge down, Pridham, and picked that one out. Deadly strike, clinical. And the Rapid are back on terms. Purity of the strike gave McCaslin no chance. And now the fans are interested again. That is why DB Pridham is the most predatory striker in the Northern Super League. No touch. As the ball came out, took it on the volley, first time, but with pace and power and accuracy into the corner, beating McCaslin. And we are back all square, 1-1 at TD Place. Jesse Scott, and they keep the ball in. There was a foul on Scott after the ball had gone. th appearance of the season for Pridham, 15 goals. Scored both goals in Montreal last weekend. And hitherto, Vancouver had done a really good job in keeping her quiet, but it's really tough to do that for 90 minutes. puts a whole different perspective on the game. Referee will play the advantage. Scots for Chu on that far side. Forbes wants it just ahead of her. Gibson back for Jaleesa Harris. Ward will give chase again, watched by Liv Scott. She's been in this position before. Ward, still Ward. And Dagenet stood her ground and was not going to be beaten at the near post. But another good run from Ward. But another chance for the Vancouver Eyes minutes after they were pegged back. Would he pull up? Okamoto. And Ward again. In field. Cowart. Mina. Pursued by vigorous defending. Ottawa will recycle and start again. Liv Scott for Harris. Trying to pull Vancouver out of their defensive shell. Harris for Chu. Touch forward for Friedland. Mina. And a throw for the home team. Midway inside the Vancouver half of the field. Just past the hour mark. Took Ottawa some time to find their stride. That'll run all the way through for Adamek. Forbes wanted the ball a little earlier. Adamek decides to go herself. Still Adamek. Forbes now square. And Forbes buys herself a little bit of time, helped out by Mina. And the Korean again looking for the reverse pass. Didn't quite come off. More changes coming for the Ottawa Rapid. Julia Benatti and Nicola Golan getting themselves ready to enter the contest. Wutipula was strong in possession. Okamoto. Chang with the ball forward. Longhurst turning. Ball was destined for Hagman, but didn't arrive. Harris again, often likes to take that more direct route, this time shorter for Mina. Back for Harris. That's the long ball. Pridham will give chase. Coward is across to cover. Into touch. Pridham will wait for the cavalry to arrive. No, in fact, we'll all wait for the substitutions to take place. As mentioned, Nicola Golan, Julian Benatti are on their way. Mel Forbes, her day is done. Replaced by Golan, who can play left back among other places. And the 6 is Julia Benatti, who replaces the hard-working Mina Lee. So that might alter the equation somewhat. Ottawa hope in their favour over the next 25 minutes or so. Shu around Longhurst. Can she get the ball across the area? Can, but into the waiting arms of McCaslin, who will not get a clean sheet today. Neither, for that matter, will Melissa Dagenet at the other end of the field. Uripula. Again, the teenager. Impressive debut from the native from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Shu wins the throw on halfway. Finds Harris, who returns the favour. Gibson for Liv Scott. Short for Adamek. And Harris again. Looking for that ball over the top. There's offside. I was wondering whether the flag was going to be raised. And I think DB Pridham knew she'd gone too early. Well, Katrina Peterson's team are back on level terms. They have fresh legs, fresh ideas. Can they turn this game around and collect 3 more points against the Vancouver Rise? Last time they met, the points were shared in an exciting 3-3 draw. It's at the start of the month at Swangard Stadium. Pridham scored on that occasion. She scored again today. 5 goals in 3 appearances against Vancouver. Scott under pressure here. Harris relieves the pressure momentarily. Pushed out to that far side. A little bit of a game of chess. Neither team willing to risk too much just yet as we approach the 3/4 mark. Interesting. The ball is played across in the general direction of Holly Ward. Ward up against Adamek. Back for Okamoto. Meant for Ward, but she started a run, couldn't readjust. Chance for Ottawa. Hagman did enough to impede her progress. Attempts on goal, and indeed on target. Still favour the visitors, Vancouver Rise. Mariah Lee has 4 goals this season. Would love to increase that total in the next 20 minutes or so. That was a little telegraphed. And the substitute, Nicola Golan, spreads it for Chu on that far side. Scott for Ottawa. To the other Scott for Ottawa. Liv to Desi. Desi will get another chance. Who got the last touch? Came off an Ottawa player. And Okamoto will take the resulting throw-in, helped on by Lee. That's clever by Ottawa. Oh, it was almost wonderful. Not quite on the same page as Pridham tried to play the give and go. McCaslin has a exit route on that far side. Vancouver ball. Shu retreats. Back it goes to Jessica Cowart, and further back to McCaslin, who's given it away. And this is a chance for Pridham, who had a chance to turn and shoot in the snapshot. Couldn't get it a yard either side of McCaslin. But she'll know that was an opportunity. Had to make her mind up early, and McCaslin got a little bit fortunate there. Vancouver cannot afford errors like that defensively with a player like Pridham on the field. Ward thinking about taking on the fullback, comes back inside. Hagman for Vancouver. Wright helps it on. The give and go on that right hand side now. Longhurst, but the final ball didn't trouble the defenders or the goalkeeper. Inside the last 20 minutes in Ottawa. Deadlocked at one apiece. Harris. On the move is Pridham. Golan's there as well. Pridham goes for goal. Couple of feet too high. Had Golan as an option. Square. Change coming for Ottawa. Desiree Scott will hand on the captain's armband for the introduction of Emily Amano, 24-year-old from Ottawa. Has played professionally in Iceland and Sweden. Rousing reception as always, as Scott makes way for Amano. Have another look at this opportunity. A moment or two ago, Pridham tried to curl it into the top corner, and to the relief of McCaslin, it sailed over her bar. But you can bet your bottom dollar that Pridham isn't done yet. Okamoto, little short. Adamek from Golan, back for Scott. Now there's only one Scott, we don't have to say Liv Scott anymore. Help round the corner by Pridham, who then starts to make her way forward in the middle of that front three. No foul. And just helped on forward into McCaslin's penalty area. Pridham will keep her honest as she rolls it out for Muripula. Hagman finds Okamoto. Ward up against Adamek for the umpteenth time. Ward. Ball stays in play. Liv Scott, fine defending. Muripula, a little over-eager to win the ball, concedes the free kick. Hannah Boot making her debut for the Vancouver Rise. 24-year-old from Cambridge, Ontario. Spent the last couple of seasons playing with Odense in Denmark. Midfielder making her first appearance in Vancouver colours. Coward underneath the ball forward. Harris to take the throw, perhaps. Down the line it goes. But turned over by Ottawa. And onside is Holly Ward. And Holly Ward is going to restore the lead for the Vancouver Rise with 15 minutes to go. It was a simple enough build-up, and Holly Ward, who's run herself ragged down that left-hand side, suddenly found herself with time and space and the goalkeeper to beat. Had the composure to go round Dagenet and slot the ball into an empty net. Vancouver back in front by 2-1. Good ball from Paczerski. Perfect for Ward. One touch round the goalkeeper and slotted it into the empty net. It is Ward's 4th goal of the season. And puts Vancouver back in front in the capital. And once again, Ottawa Rapid are asked to come from behind to rescue something on home turf. You would have to ask questions defensively about Ottawa, that Holly Ward had so much time, was completely unmarked, made a well-timed run, stayed onside from the through diagonal ball from Paczerski, but there was nobody to pick her up. And it might be more here for the Vancouver Rise. This time it is just wide. And Paczerski, I think, on that far side, wasn't going to be stopped by Harris. Just got a shot away, but wide of Dagenet's near post. Now, is Paczerski going to be okay? It would appear so. Paczerski will get credit, I'm sure, for the assist for Ward's goal. She certainly should do. It was a beautiful diagonal pass, which Ward was able to take in stride round the goalkeeper and have the composure to finish. And over the course of the game so far, despite the intervention of that clinical finish from DB Pridham, Vancouver have largely controlled proceedings. Now, can they hold their nerve and see this game out and collect 3 more points as they did in Toronto last weekend? Paczerski still full of running. Longhurst on that far side. Ball into the box, everybody left it. Okamoto, Ward, still in possession, eventually crowded out. A chance for Ottawa to clear, but they want to be playing in the other half of the field. Golan tackled successfully by an impressive debut from Mudipula. Started the game at right back, switched to centre back, following the withdrawal of Kennedy Faulkner at half-time. Completely inexperienced at this level, but has shown maturity beyond her 17 years. She is again Canada U17 international. Forward again, Longhurst, again too close to the goalkeeper. Catching practice for Dagenet, decides to go long, no time to waste. Trying to find Pridham, who was isolated. And Vancouver have time to clear. Hagman. Cowart diverts it back to McCaslin.